Hi, my name is Myra Derbyshire, and this is my reflection video for my grant proposal. So I decided to do my grant proposal for the Homecoming Project, which is the sober living house in Harford County in Bel Air. And what I decided to write the proposal for was a educational grant with the Knott Foundation. So the Homecoming Project has a really cool part of their program, which is called the Prevention Program. And what that prevention program does, it supports the alumni of the, the actual program, so the residential treatment part. For the people that graduate that program, they have the opportunity to be participants in the prevention program. And what the prevention program does is it provides educational scholarships for the alumni so that they don't have the burden of financial burden of student loans, and hope and in turn to relieve the stress of what that can give to someone, and hopefully help them to stay sober and in stable housing. So I learned a lot from this project. I originally tried to do a federal grant through SAMHSA, and that was hard. That's probably the biggest thing I learned from this, is that federal grants are very difficult. Some of the things I really struggled with were finding the statistics that I needed, the data that I needed, the numbers that I needed in order to make a budget. I really struggled with that. I thought the budget for me was the hardest part of writing the federal grant. I also felt like I didn't have enough time, and I probably, if I were to write the federal grant in the future, I would need to block off a lot more time in order to do research and development of the proposal. So my experience working with the Homecoming Project was incredible. They were extremely helpful for me to answer any questions that I had, and they were very supportive of me to do it. They always answered the phone when I called, or returned an email if I had a question after I met with them for the first time. And I do have a personal connection with them, so they were more than happy to help. So the first thing that I did is that I called them and I asked to set up a meeting, and they did, and I went over there one day after work, and they provided me dinner, and we sat and we talked, and I told them about the project, and I told them about the expectations of the project, and I made a list of questions that I brought with me. Some of the questions that I asked were, what part of the program needs the most financial support? How many women are you looking to help with this program? And in what capacity? So what part of the prevention program do you see them succeeding most with? And then what are the goals of the prevention program? And in turn, with finding out what the goals are, I was able to make the objectives and the performance measures to bring a quantitative approach to answering or to making those goals happen. So I will say that if I had to take this class over again, some of the things that I would do differently would definitely be just focused on a foundation grant. The federal grant was very lengthy and tedious, and the foundation grant I found to be much more in reach for someone in my position. Another thing that I would have done differently is I would have asked more questions on my initial meeting with the organization. I found myself coming up with questions that I hadn't really thought to ask in my initial meeting. So what I would do is I would email them, or I would call them, and they were very supportive and very helpful for me. But I feel, and I know that if I were to do this over again, I would probably focus more on what questions I would ask, and probably do a little bit more research prior to initiating that meeting. So I really did enjoy taking this class, and I learned a lot, some on purpose, some by mistake, but regardless, I learned. And I'd say the biggest thing that I took away from writing this grant is keep it simple, make sure you're explaining to the people that you're writing the grant for exactly why the organization can benefit from their funds. I found myself trying to use a lot of big words and trying to sound fancy, and what I've learned through this class is that that's just not necessary. So thank you. I really enjoyed this class, and yeah, thank you.